Today we're going to be talking about ToolGrid. And I honestly never really thought that I was going to like ToolGrid or that ToolGrid was going to be for me. Nothing against it. It seemed expensive and there's modularity to it, but it also seemed like it wasn't as efficient of a use of space as something like a foam inlay would be. So when I originally organized my toolbox, I bought Kaizen Foam from FastCap, and I cut that out to fit the tools that I have, these ratchets, you know, whatever, screwdrivers like this. And I've honestly liked how well they've worked out. They're nice, they hold up well, you can pop something out, you generally know what's supposed to go there. You know, it's easy from like an inventory perspective to know when you're missing a tool. My foam inlays were never quite as good as like the Sonic ones, which are down here. These are pre-made by Sonic. I think that they work incredibly well. They've got nice labeling. They're just a really good set. But the Sonic ones don't work when you've got multiple tool brands involved. Like my ratchet drawer, I've got some stuff from Snap-on, some stuff from Tekton. I actually have a couple, this is a Sonic, a Nipros, you know, some other ratchets in here as well that I was messing around with. So I bought these I bought these T-handle Allen wrenches, Allen and Torx. They came from Tekton. I did a video on them last week, so check that out. But originally I had Snap-on T-handle Allens, and they were in these drawers. So I had my Allen wrenches in here, I had my Torx in here, and they were laid out flat in foam inlays, and they took up most of the drawers. So I bought this set of Tekton T-handled Allens and T-handled Torx, and I ended up with more tools than what I originally had, but my drawers were already full. So I was trying to figure out a better way to do organization, and I was watching a couple videos on tool organization. There was one on Obsessed Garage with the Snap-on toolbox that Matt was giving away, and he had a bunch of Snap-on T-handled Allens that he was arranging in the bottom drawer of that toolbox using ToolGrid. And he did it kind of like this, and I thought that it was really cool. So if you look, you can see we've got Torx in the back, we've got metric here, we've got SAE here, and they're all stood up. And this actually makes really good use of space for these bottom drawers. It's easy to take something out or put something back, and the ToolGrid allows everything to stand up. So I thought, that's actually kind of neat. So what else could I do? Well, after moving my T-handled Allens and T-handled Torx into that half of a bottom drawer from the two drawers they used to be in, I ended up with a bunch of free space. So I've got two drawers that had T-handles in them that are now empty. And I thought, well, my wrenches have always been in these, they're in like a cloth divider. Tekton sells the wrenches in that divider, and I've had that, they're kind of sitting in here rolled up. So I unroll them, I pull out the wrench that I need, I roll them back up when I'm done, but I've got like 3 sets of wrenches just kind of shoved in the corner of a drawer, and they're not really laid out, they're not nice, they don't, I don't know, they just don't look great. So what I want to do is I want to set this drawer up for wrenches, specifically for the wrenches that are in here now. So these are the Tekton stubby ratcheting metric. These are the Tekton normal length ratcheting metric. These are actually Blue Point ratcheting SAE because I didn't order the Tekton ones before they discontinued them. And then these are Quinn. They are flare nut wrenches that are designed for like removing brake lines and stuff like that. So I ordered some ToolGrid, and I ordered a little bit of everything because I wanted to mess around with them and see everything that they have. So I got some small wrench holders, some medium wrench holders, which I'm going to be using for this drawer. I also ordered some of their small socket holders. This is 1/4, 3/8, and half. I ordered, these are the holders that I used for the T-handled Allens in the bottom there. The tool tip holders, which I also use for the T-handled Allens. There's one of those there, there's a couple bags of them. They've got these corners, which are kind of neat. They're like a large corner for like a box or a kit. Then they have smaller corners. Which are these here. They have more of these universal things, but a smaller size. Just a bunch of different stuff. And I was actually able to You know, so I ordered all these pieces. The parts and pieces aren't that expensive. You know, a bag is like $4 or $5, $6 at most. I think these ones are like $6. The thing that's actually expensive are the boards, the ToolGrid boards. So this is how the ToolGrid boards currently come. They're 6x6 square. There are 16 of them in a box, and that will do basically a 24x24 drawer. They're modular, they're cuttable, they can be extended to fill larger drawers, or you know, used in smaller drawers like these ones without throwing a large portion of the ToolGrid away. In the past, they used to come this way. So this is an old ToolGrid. This is 24x26. It's a single piece, and this is how it came, just in a sheet like that. And this is really designed to be cut down and used for one drawer. A 16 pack of these, which will do one of these drawers, is about $100. I found a couple of these new old stock at a company that just had some in inventory, and I bought these. They were 75 for two, so about $37 a board. So I ended up saving myself some money, but obviously, like, these will only fit in this drawer or a drawer of the same size once I cut them, right? They just are what they are. So we're going to use this, and we're going to fill one of these drawers. We're going to move the wrenches and put them in it, and we're going to come up with a tool organization system that works for these wrenches. First thing, we're going to need to cut the board to fit the drawer. So looking at this, we're going to cut this board on the 4th hole, just right here. And then on the other side, well, we're gonna have to do that first, and then we're gonna make this fit. So we've cut our drawer, made it fit sideways, and then we now need to make it fit this way. So it looks like, to do that, we want to cut it right here. So I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, so we're just going to cut this with a knife. I've got a regular razor blade, 2-foot level. It's fairly easy to do. You just kind of want to set your level where you want it to be. Make a line. And then you can all right, so we've gone through that. Now we can fold this back and then just go over it one more time. Now, if I was doing a whole box of these, I'd use a table saw. But for just one drawer, or one section of one drawer, a knife works just fine. So you're gonna have to kind of flex it a little bit to get it tucked down in where you want it to be. But now we have this ToolGrid board that fits our drawer. The first thing to understand when you're looking at wrenches is that they have two different size of wrench holders. Well, they actually have three, but they have two that I care about in this particular circumstance. So these are what they call a small. These are what they call a medium. So they slide in like this. You can obviously spread them out further. Some fit in a small, some fit in a medium. So I kind of figured out with 2 smalls and 2 mediums how many of each I needed to get. So we're going to start off with the SAE wrenches, and then we're going to work on the specialty wrenches, we'll call them. So these are the smallest of the metric wrenches, and I have a set from Tekton that starts with 8mm and goes all the way to, think it's 20, 19, complete with no skips. So that's what we're going to be installing in here today. So I think that you want to do is you want to go as close to the front as possible. Yeah, so I think you want to go as close to the front as possible. We'll start off with these small holders. So blue is metric, red is SAE. It doesn't really matter because you can label them anyway, but we'll do them the way that they intended. And now we're going to go to the mediums, which are here. So the difference between the small and the medium just has a larger opening. Kind of see them on top of each other there. Medium is the one on top. Overall, they're the same profile as the other ones, and they take up the same amount of space. So we'll grab these larger wrenches. All right. So this is where you need to kind of make some decisions about the layout. What are you trying to achieve? What do you want it to look like? What's the overall, look that you're going for? So I could line all of these up on one side by jogging these in a little bit. I could move the wrenches a little bit further this way. That's going to leave some gaps there. For me, I want to make the most efficient use of space possible. I want to be able to shove as much in a drawer as I possibly can because I'm already running out of tool storage space. So I think that that's the way I'm going to keep it. It's over that way as far as it can be. So now let's start working on other size wrenches. I got interrupted here and then I just started putting things together. So I've got my wrenches laid out the way that I want them to be. I ended up jogging the smaller ones of this to the right just a bit. I think realistically, I'm waiting for Tekton to release their new line of ratcheting wrenches. I'm probably going to replace these Blue Point ones with SAE from Tekton because I would like a more complete set with less skips. And I actually prefer a wrench like this that has flip over, so this is reverse and this is forward, to one like these snap-on wrenches that have the angle. I realize the 15-degree angle can be helpful in certain situations, but I also really like the 6-point Tektons. The fact that they're 6-point means that they're less likely to round off bolts and have a little bit greater gripping power, which is always useful. So I was planning to buy the SAE ones. I didn't buy the SAE ones, and then they stopped making the SAE ones because of production issues. And now I'm waiting for their new line to come out to see if I like them or want them or whatever. So once you get everything laid out where you want it to be, and until then you can kind of move everything around. So I could just take this and I could put it here or wherever I want it to be. It's pretty simple. Once you get it laid out where you want it to be, then you need to fix everything into the cabinet. And you do that with these screws. So they sell these, they come in a bag of 100. They're a T20 Torx. So really you need a T20 bit that's at least this long. For some of the deeper ones, like when I did this Allen drawer, this would have worked, but I actually ended up using But I actually ended up using this for that, which is more like, I think this is a 6-inch, this is a 4-inch, seems right. Because it was just easier with the drawer depth to get the 6-inch in there and not have to worry about it bottoming out, the drill on the edge of the drawer. So, you know, I think that this 4-inch is a good size for like a normal drawer like this, maybe even my top drawer. You definitely want it to be magnetized. The screws are magnetic, and you have to like stick them in little pockets, so it's way easier if it's magnetized. But basically, each of these holders has a screw hole in the back of them, and that goes into the tool grid. So they're like 3 alignment pins, you can see them there in a triangle, and then there's a screw hole in the middle. But to get to that screw hole, you have to stick the bit through this like square opening. It's not that way on every one of them. Different holders have different screw hole accessibility. Like here is a tool handle holder. The tool tip holder, it's kind of in the middle of it, like this. But the longer tips with a magnetic really helps. So you do have to pull the tools out to be able to put the screws in most of these holders. So I just kind of do them one at a time, go through and put them in. You could probably use just about anything to do this. You're just screwing a small screw into plastic. But I'm using, this is the Milwaukee M12 impact. It's not the surge one, it's just the regular fuel. And it's honestly overkill. I could strip this right out if I wanted to. But if I put it on setting number 1, I can just right in, and it's great, and it's like the perfect amount of torque. So I found that this works really, really well. I do have the smaller, I think they call it the driver, Milwaukee driver, the M12. That would probably work well for this also. I mean, realistically, you just want to do a small tool, not a, you know, you don't need like an 18-volt hammer drill to put this in. These are pretty low torque, but I can just, I like with this 12 volt on setting 1, I can just vary it and it just, you know, does its thing. Now, when you install these with the screws, they become, we'll say semi-permanently affixed. So they are still movable. You can take the screws out and you can pop the tool grid out and you can adjust your drawer as you see fit. It's pretty easy to do. The truth is that when you screw these in, they do kind of, they draw the tool grid into the panel, which makes them really attached. And they also, you know, they open up the hole so you can kind of see the screw threads in these black holes. So you can move things around to a degree, but the holes that are left behind end up being a little bit uglier than the tool grid normally looks. So if the appearance matters to you, you know, that could be a factor. I would say what I really like about the tool grid over the Kaizen Foam, and you know, reasonably the Kaizen Foam is cheaper, but it takes more effort to do because you actually have to like, you know, you have to take one of these, you have to lay out everything the way that you want it to be. And I actually used one of these, which is like a long thin marker to mark around all of the tools. And then you cut it out with an X-Acto knife. And you know, sometimes you screw up and you end up with like this little bit of foam here that's kind of, you know, not sitting flat, or you have to adjust. But once you set this drawer up, this drawer is how it is. So I would say if you're the kind of person who buys tools and keeps them for a long time and just uses the same tools over and over again, then it's probably fine. You know, if you've got an established toolbox that you really like and you're not shopping for tools actively. For me, if I go to the store and I find something new that I like, I pick it up. And if I really like it, it ends up staying in my drawer. And some examples of that would be like this stupid cobalt thing that has like it's got like T4, T6, T8, you know, some small Torx and stuff like that in it. I picked this thing up, I liked it, it ended up in my drawer. And you know, I did that with my ratchets with the Nipro stuff. I picked up these Nipros ratchets, I really liked them. I picked up the Sonic ratchet, I really like that. I want to add them to my drawer, I want to use them occasionally. Now I might get rid of some of the snap-ons in the future, So like, I really like this guy, but I don't really care for, well, this is a great ratchet, but I'm never picking this one up over picking this one up, because there really isn't any job that I've come across that this can do that this can't. So I might pare down my snap-on stuff just a little bit. I might get rid of this shorter 1/2-inch ratchet. I might get rid of this shorter 1/4-inch ratchet. I might, I got these 2 Tekton, they're like small form factor ratchets. I might not keep those. I don't know, I'm not crazy about them, but there is a place where they do fit into a toolbox. And then other things, like I got this 24-inch Tekton ratchet, which I actually like quite a bit. But I do have the 24-inch snap-on, and this is awesome. It's probably my favorite ratchet. Maybe it's maybe my second favorite ratchet. I think this one is probably my favorite of all time. So I might adjust this drawer. Well, what ends up happening when you adjust this drawer is now you have holes that are set for this particular ratchet that don't match the new one that you then picked up to replace it. So if you've got this 3/8 ratchet, the snap-on, and let's say we get rid of this ratchet, not that I'm going to, but let's say we do, and we replace it with something like this Nipros. Well, now the Nipros is slightly longer, the handle isn't quite as fat, so then you end up having to like elongate the holes, you end up with like sloppiness in the foam, and then the foam just doesn't look good. So you end up having to redo the foam, and redoing the foam is redoing the entire drawer and replacing the foam. And the foam isn't expensive, but the shipping is. I normally buy it from a company called Fast Cap? No. It's like Woodworking Supply. I get it. I'll put a link in the description where I've gotten my foam from in the past, but it's like a woodworking supply store, and they sell Fast Cap as a brand, and it's Kaizen Foam. It comes in it's like a 2-foot by 4-foot sheet, so you can cut the sheet in half and you can get 2 drawers out of it in a cabinet of this size, or you can do one like large drawer like my top one. I think I could do 3 of these side drawers in one piece of Kaizen foam. So, you know, that is still a good option if you're, like I said, the kind of person who you buy tools, you use those tools forever, and you're not really replacing, adding, adjusting your collection in any meaningful way. And I used to be that way. When I worked in a shop and I had a cabinet full of snap-on tools, I just used them. I was too busy working to really care about, you know, I might add something occasionally. And adding isn't that bad with the foam. If you've got a free spot, like with these ratchets, I've got a free spot over here on the right. I can just cut this out. I can add these ratchets in. Everything's cool. It's more when you want to replace, get rid of, adjust. And I guess sometimes that can happen even accidentally, because you'll have a tool that you really like I had a snap-on ratchet that I really like, 3/8 ratchet, and I broke the head on it, and they replaced it with the updated model, which is this. So they gave me this to replace my old one, which had a square handle on it. And they told me that they had to do that because the square handles allowed people to put so much torque on them that they were always breaking the heads. And it's like, well, if you've got a good handle design, why don't you fix the head so they don't break? But I digress. So that's how you would secure the tool grid for your wrenches. I already did all of these. Now, like I mentioned, you can unscrew them, you can move them around. It does leave a little bit of galling in the threads behind. So now we're going to look at kind of some other things. I have these, this is an adjustable wrench, and I rarely use adjustable wrenches, but occasionally I'll need, you know, something for like a water line or something that's big. So I'll use this for that. They have, this is called a universal tool holder. It's got like this cam. So we'll use that to hold the handle here. And then over here, this is actually, this is called a cam. And they make this in small and medium. So we put that in there like that. And now this can be lifted in and out, and it sits into its spot. And that's kind of the cool thing about ToolGrid, is they have all of these different holders, you know. So like I mentioned, there's this, which is like a small wrench. There's this, which is a medium wrench, very similar. They make those in red and blue. This is a tool handle holder for like a screwdriver handle. There's a tool tip holder, which is what this one is. So that'd be like for a screwdriver tip. So if you had a screwdriver that you wanted to put in here, you could do it like that. They also have these cams, both small and large. The large one looks like this. Now the large one won't fit into a drawer that's this size. I suppose that you could cut it down. It's not going to have a clean edge on it then, which may defeat the point of the organization. There's also these, which I haven't opened up yet or used yet, but they're like a 1/4-inch socket holder. So you can put a single 1/4-inch socket on it. I do feel like they leave a lot of spacing. There's a lot of gap. Like this doesn't need to be this big. For larger sockets, it would be okay. Like if I threw a, I don't know, 15mm on there or something, it probably takes up almost the whole thing. There is no locking mechanism to keep this on there. It just kind of slots into place, which is nice. Makes it easy to get out of your drawer. The Tekton ones that I have a 1/4 turn. I will say that I think I like the Tekton ones a little bit better than this, but I am going to play around with them and see if these have a place somewhere in my toolbox. I have a bag of 1/4, 3/8, and half. They're all the same. And then they also make this, which is called a ratchet tool holder. So this is for like if you had a, say a 3/8 ratchet, you would stick the head in there like that. I think this is actually the 1/2-inch one, but you get the idea. They make 1/4, 1/2, and 3/8 of these. So we've got a lot of different options. Let's say ToolGrid strength is really in the depth, like utilizing the depth of your box. So taking a drawer like this that would have been 3 drawers or was 3 drawers before I put it in this way standing up, that's really where ToolGrid strength is. So if you don't have deep drawers or you don't have tools that could be stood up, ToolGrid might not be for you. You know, it's not going to make me be able to fit more stuff in this drawer. It's just not. Screwdrivers are not going to be able to be stood up in my box in any meaningful way. But it does make it so that if I did swap some tools out, I would be able to readjust and reorganize that drawer. Same thing with my ratchet drawer. It's not going to improve this in any way. Now I really want to work on 2 more drawers. So this is my socket drawer, like I mentioned. So this has all of my impact sockets. It has all of my 3/8, my 1/4-inch, regular metric. I only have 1 row of SAE. Those are back there, 3/8 SAE. Actually, I have 3/8 and 1/4. These are metric impacts. These are specialty sockets, so lug nuts. This is a 12mm, it's like a 12 point that's used for Mazda head bolts. And then over here, these are specialty spark plug sockets. This has a very specific use. It's for the top bolt on the mini shocks. They have an 18mm hex, but then there's an Allen on the inside that you have to get to. So the Milwaukee sockets, because they have this on the outside, mean that I can stick a wrench on this to hold it while I use the Allen. I have O2 sensors, triple square. These are like wobble, or well, these are small adapters. These are adapters for like 1/4 to 3/8 or 3/8 to 1/4 or whatever. I have short extensions here. I have these, which are the Nipros. Forget what they call these, but they're actually really cool. They're like, you stick this in between your ratchet and your socket and you spin them by hand. And then this is all of my metric 1/4, 3/8, 3/8 deep. Over here, these are Allens, so these are all metric Allen. So I had a big foam thing here and I had my wrenches kind of stuck in the corner of the drawer, piled up on each other, and it was pretty ugly, but it worked. So what I want to do at this point is I want to redo this section and I want to use ToolGrid for that. And in order to get the best use out of my ToolGrid, because the sheets are expensive, I'm going to try to use the rest of the sheet for one of these smaller drawers over on the side. All right, so here we are in the top drawer. so we can kind of lay out things the way we want them to be. I think we could tighten these up a little bit. So if I do something like that, tighten these up. So now I've got actually more space over here than I had. All right, so you can see here the finished product. This is what it looks like after I've laid everything out, screwed everything in, attached everything, as I mentioned, semi-permanently, because these can be removed, but they do leave marks behind. One of the things that can be a challenge is the back of the drawers. So for those icon extensions over here, as well as this quarter, I can't reach that with my drawer in this position. And my drawer is all the way out, but I still can't reach that. Now, obviously, they make right angle attachments for a drill. You could use one of those. If your drill was deeper, you could deal with it that way. Your drawer was deeper. I've just been kind of clicking my drawer out a little bit, not enough to drop it off the rails, but enough to just release it so that I can pull it out that other inch that I need. But here the drawer is done. Now I have these Wera, these are Allens, and I actually just picked these up. So they're Allens with holding function, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I ran into an issue. I was expecting to put those on this rail, but they're actually slightly too tall and they hit the top of the drawer. So like I mentioned, height is kind of key in doing all of this. If you can keep your height under your tallest drawer, then you can have things like these extensions that take up no space. And that's also the case if you're using, something like this ToolGrid. You can put that there as well, same thing. It clears just fine, and it takes up, hardly any space. When you have to start laying things down, then you end up losing kind of all of this vertical space that exists in the drawer. And obviously these extensions could be in a different drawer, but just fundamentally it doesn't make a lot of sense to have your sockets in one drawer and your extensions in another. And I don't know, I liked it all to be in the same drawer. Ideally, I'd like to have my ratchet handles in this drawer as well, but I just don't have the room to make it happen without paring down my sockets or doing something different. Obviously, I have a lot of ratchet handles. I could probably pare those down as well. So I've done videos on these before. These are, well, they're Ernst, but they're also Tekton. So Ernst Manufacturing makes these rail systems for Tekton tools. So if you're buying Tekton tools, you'll see they have rails on their website, and you can get those sockets on rails, and you can organize them just like this. And the rails are kind of cool. They're modular. So they're like, this is a tray. There's a tray. They make a double tray and a triple tray. This are all triples. I do have a double in the back here. And then they have these rails, and the rails are available in black, gray, and red through Tekton. And then they have a bunch of other colors from Ernst. So Ernst actually makes these. Tekton just rebrands them for Tekton. So you can see that two of my trays here say, like this one says Tekton, this one says Ernst, this one says Tekton, but they're right next to each other. You can't even tell the difference. They look the same. I like that the rails are removable. I like that you can kind of adjust these. So they have 3/4, 3/8, or sorry, half, 3/8, and 1/4 inch plastic connectors. So you just buy a bunch of those, and then you can kind of mix and match and make whatever you want to happen. Here's what a tray looks like with nothing on it. This is obviously a double tray. This says Tekton, the tray is Tekton, the rails are Ernst. But again, like I said, they're the same thing. They're just relabeled for Tekton. So, these are kind of a cool option as well. I like them. I like the fact that they make good use of space. They are modular. You can label them. So I have some things that are labeled like, if I pull out my 1/4 inch row here, you'll see these all have labels on them. The labels are stickers. Tekton and Ernst both sell them. They come with the rail kits if you buy a kit. The stickers are, they're not the best, but they're not bad. So they work fairly well. So you can see the, the stickers there. I'm obviously missing one somewhere, but that's what they look like when a rail is fully done. So what I like about these is that I can remove them from my box. So like this can come out and I can take this under a car. So if you're doing something like exhaust work and you don't know what size bolts you're going to encounter, you could actually just pop off like a 3/8 inch rail. My 3/8 rail like this has everything from 6 all the way to 24 with no skips. So I could take this and a ratchet into the car. There isn't much that I can't take apart. That's really nice. So, the modularity, the being able to take a rail out is nice. You can't do that with the ToolGrid. I think the ToolGrid has a little bit more customization. You can adjust your spacing. You can make your spacing almost as tight as these rails, but not quite. Like I can make rails I can make these sockets touch each other no matter how thin they are. Like these, this 4 and 4.5 are touching each other. But if I put those over here on the ToolGrid, the closest that I'm going to be able to get is 1 space apart, which is like that. So it doesn't make the best. I'll do it this way so the camera can see it better. So you end up with a gap in between. It doesn't make the best use of space because it's not like infinitely adjustable like these are. From a financial perspective, they're around the same money. You can buy 3 rails on a triple unit like this for about $30, give or take. And they come with like one is quarter, one is 3/8, and one is half, so you can kind of mix and match and make your drawers work. So this half of the drawer is probably, I don't know, $175 worth of the adjusters. So say 30, 60, 90, I don't know, 110. So if I look at this side versus this side, obviously I have a lot less stuff over here, physical stuff, but it's probably around the same amount of money to buy the ToolGrid, especially if you're getting it the older rates, or if you're finding like new old stock, full sheets, that kind of stuff, and not buying the small squares. And the adapters, the 1/4 and 3/8 adapters that they come with, you can probably make about the same, the money go about the same way, I guess. I feel as though our industry has a need for all 3 of these. There are pluses and minuses to each one of them. I like these socket holders for sockets. I like the ToolGrid for the extensions. I don't think that they make sense on the socket holders. I only did this here to save space. And I'm honestly thinking about moving this stuff over here. I'm just trying to figure out what I would put in this rail when I take up the space over on this side. You do run into some issues with the vertical height, like the Ernst / Tekton system only allows you to go vertical. I mean, I guess you could take the rail out and you could just lay it down, but they only allow you to go vertical. So if you don't have the height in your drawer to accommodate, then it doesn't work. And one other kind of, we'll say hack, which is neat, you can take these actually have, you see there's 2 screw holes in them, one here and one here. So I actually screwed one of these in my bottom drawer with, I just used a little bit longer screws than the ToolGrid comes with. So these are like 10mm screws. I just got like a 20mm screw, and I put that in and was able to just screw this down and use it in the same way. It's permanently affixed now. It's not going to be like removable like these trays are. But if you wanted to, set up some ToolGrid in a way that was, if you want to set up some ToolGrid in a way where you can get your sockets really close together, like if you had a lot of small sockets, that might be a good option for you. And then, the Kaizen Foam, I've always liked the look of the Kaizen Foam, kind of the finished aspect of it. The customized Kaizen Foam is never going to be perfect. I mean, I guess if you're really meticulous and you take a lot of time, but this drawer probably took me an hour and a half to do. And it's still not perfect. There's waves, there's things that aren't straight, there's things that don't quite match the handle on the screwdriver. Some screwdrivers are pushing out on the foam and some have a gap around them. They're just not perfect. If you buy a tool system like Sonic that comes with foam and the foam matches the tools perfectly, like this kit here, this is their sample kit, but I have other foams from Sonic as well. I like them. they work well, the foam looks good, and they're perfectly matched to fit the tools. The problem is that like then you have to use all of the Sonic tools, which they're not bad. It's just that, you know, I have certain things that I like better than others. I like these Knipex channel locks. They're not really channel locks because they don't have channels, but they're their style of channel locks. I like, you know, these Fiskars Pro scissors are awesome. I like the, I do like the Sonic diagonal cutting pliers. I think these are great. I like these Irwin Vice Grip stripping pliers. So I guess what ends up happening is like if you do something like Sonic that's really cool, but any tools that they don't have or any tools that you like another brand better, you end up losing the organization in that drawer. And that's where ToolGrid kind of comes in, or Kaizen Foam comes in, doing your own thing. I don't like the lack of modularity here, but I do like how they look when they're finished. The cost is a little bit less, which is nice. But I think that this comes off with a really good finished look. And I see a reason to keep all four types of organization that I currently have: the ToolGrid, the Ernst / Tekton stuff, the Sonic kits that I do happen to have, and the Kaizen Foam in my toolbox. I will put links in the description for ToolGrid. I will put links in the description for the Ernst manufacturing stuff. You can go on Tekton's website if you want to check theirs out, but it's cheaper to buy it from Ernst than it is to buy it from Tekton. So, I mean, really the only reason I could think to get it from Tekton would be like if you were buying a bunch of tools or something like that and you had free dollars, but it's the same stuff and Ernst sells it cheaper because they make it for Tekton. And the last thing that I'm going to be doing next is I'm going to try to consolidate these two pliers drawers and turn them into just a nicer situation, because I've got stuff that's like piled on top of each other. Every time I shut the drawer, they all slide. And then I think that most of them I'm going to be able to stand up, which is going to be cool. It's going to make better use of space in my drawer. And again, that is the power. And you know, if I was clairvoyant, I would have looked for a toolbox up front that had deeper drawers, less but deeper drawers. I think that I would have made better use of that space with the deeper drawers, because you can stand tools up, and that's really nice. So thank you for watching, and I hope that you're having a great day. I just wanted to share that I was able to get my pliers drawers from 3 drawers down to 2. So here's the tool gridded drawer, and then I have an empty that was created. And then above it, I have the rest. So this is everything that won't stand up. So thank you for watching.